The name Shiv Sena has been given to Election Commission of India to Mr. Eknath Shinde, and also the symbol has been also given to the same party. Really, we feel we are honored, though it is going to take very long time for coming into existence, but it is like having a roadmap. People, they were suggesting me that why don't you change the your leadership, and I told them that I will die with the same saffron. But that's so I was waiting to die.
Namaskar and welcome. I am joined by Maharashtra Legislative Council Deputy Chairperson and also Eknath Shinde led Shiv Sena's leader, Dr. Neelam Gorhe. I am going to speak to her on a range of issues, both involving the legislature and also the Maharashtra politics. Tai, welcome in this edition of HW News interview. I should ask the first question when it comes to, the ongoing legal battle. I know you have a compulsions and I don't want to encroach on your territory, but for the reader's interest, what is happening when it comes to the disqualification petitions? And also, the Thackeray camp has also taken objection about your standing and a position, basically the way you have joined Eknath Shinde group. Again, Tai, I don't want any kind of a controversy that is to be created, but I want simple answers for the interest of the viewers.
If we remember the history of the last session, there has been detailed discussion on these issues, and also there is a ruling given by the Talika Sabhapati that time, and also there was a debate within council regarding these issues. While the various rules and precedents have been already expressed, and as per that decision given by the Talika Sabhapati, he says that whatever process may be pending either in the court or in the legislature, day-to-day work or even including other applications of disqualification of other members can be also looked by the Deputy Chairperson, number one. Number two, here I will like to also make it I will like to underline that it is not question of joining A party and joining B party. The party belongs, the Shiv Sena party, which was started, initiated, given leadership by Supreme Balasaheb Thackeray. The name Shiv Sena has been given to Election Commission of India to Mr. Eknath Shinde, and also the symbol has been also given to the same party. Number one, this is the point. Another point is this: when I became first time MLC in 2002, we are supposed to give a notification to the legislature, and which says which party you belong and what is the symbol. So we are given Shiv Sena and Dhanushyaban. So it is the same. It is continuity with the same party. Now what happens outside the purview of the legislature, but we are abide by either Supreme Court or even the election commission. So I don't think there is any change of the party as such. When it comes to both the fractions are claiming something within assembly, and it is still undecided, and still it is the case is going on in the Supreme Court. How any other decision making body is supposed to come to any conclusion, because if it is that decision is again expressed clearly, something A or B decision, then do we mean that we'll change our decision accordingly and we'll let MLAs or MLCs suffer regarding that? So these are all the certain issues. I will not like to comment anything about the process and things like that, but basically we are very transparent as a legislature. It is having a very, I would say, very proud tradition of democracy, and I expressed in the session that because we believe in democratic values, there is need to have debate in the session itself. But that does not mean that by taking various viewpoints every time the process is again hindered. Yeah. So we are taking the process in a proper way when it comes to Legislative Council of Maharashtra.
Sure. And then my second question was with regard to, can you give us some kind of a timeline when it comes to disqualification, or you will definitely wait for what happens in the State Assembly and also maybe at the level of the Supreme Court?
At this moment, as the taking legal advice by the experts is still on. Yeah. I will not like to comment anything on this.
Absolutely. Tai, my next immediate question is that, you have been in the field of women empowerment, giving much of, gender equality and couple of others, and basically taking views with regard to curbing the violence against women. incidentally, recently the woman bill has passed in the parliament. In fact, before you shifted, you have been wholehearted proponent of this bill to be passed. And the second issue that you took up was basically India requires uniform civil code. Can I have your views on both very important issues that is definitely quite key to the Indian politics?
See, when it comes to the experiences of the women from the grassroots, they suffer subjugation, they suffer patriarchal discrimination in every sector of life. Now, this struggle has been going on more than 300 centuries, and now last 100 years it is changing very fast. So now there are many laws which are coming up all over the world, like Equal Pay and Equal Rights Commission, which is happening in many states. Similarly, safety at workplace, anti-trafficking laws. And when it comes to cybercrime also, there has been new, I would say, safe cyber security parameters are being discussed, and they are being put into the practice. So now when it comes to the women's reservation bill, I remember the struggle since last 3 decades. Lotika Sarkar, Veena Muzumdar, Mrunal Gore, Subhashini Ali, many of the stalwarts, they were pressing for women in decision making process at different levels. Now when it comes to issue of personal is political, why women do not get proper representation in assembly? It is a political process. It is political process by 3 M's: money, power, muscle power, and also I would say the fear or the, I would say, conspiracy of character assassination of women candidates, which gives them less representation. So when there was the 73rd amendment, at that time there was a consensus, and then those amendments were done. So 1/3 representation was given to women in the grassroots democracy. Before that, I remember, Sanjay, we did one survey, and where we asked some of the officers what difference it will make after women's reservation bill, and some of the men said that before getting reservation they are like butterflies, and after getting reservation they become like serpents. So maybe because becoming aggressive, becoming thinking about rights, becoming ambitious is something looked down by the society as bad women. So after 1/3 reservation, it has been converted into 50% reservation. Still, it is not an accident. It is not a coincidence that why this bill was held up from 1996 to 2023. It is basically for lack of political will. Secondly, because women's political lobby is not there, they are divided into common mass voters and also few political women leaders. There is no women's political party as such who will talk for them. So everything is done by the leaders of the parties, which are generally men. That's why in most of the political parties we see, excepting few one, there are very less number of women at a higher position, as similar to corporates, as similar to other sectors of life. So now when there is a discussion and debate going on about the credit of the bill, why Narendra Ji Modi is taking, or why he has been given credit to pass the bill, I will thank him for 2 reasons. One, the bill was already, I would say, it was dismantled, or it was totally irredundant after 2014 when the Parliament was dissolved. So the bill also goes into the another process, so it is not alive that like that. So secondly, they put into the bill new format, and there is a objective which is very important to me. It is equally important as per the 1/3 reservation. It says that because sabka saath sabka vikas, also it speaks about women's better role in the decision making process. And third, the lesson learned by the reservation up till now, women have been doing a very meaningful role when it comes to policies for women. So this is not only for appeasement, this is not only for event management, this is something as a women, as citizen of India, they should get the right to go to the assemblies and the parliament. Now the question arises, why not in the councils and why not in the Rajya Sabha? So I am going to definitely try for that, because at least I can put this on the floor, being the there are only 3 deputy chairpersons or chairperson in whole India who are on the presiding officers. So that becomes my duty again while welcoming Mr. Modi's decision. Another thing which I liked for the second reason, that he put into the front keynote address about the importance of the bill. Otherwise, generally it is at the last 12 o'clock in the midnight, and then nobody knows what exactly that bill is meaning. While in Rajya Sabha, when this was passed, also another remarkable thing happened. Every member was present. I will like to thank the Rajya Sabha for that, and everybody supported for this. I think things have changed not because of will or wish or mercy. Things have changed because of the growing awareness within women voters. So that has been acknowledged by the Pantapradan Narendra Modi, which we feel that really we are honored, though it is going to take very long time for coming into existence. But
Yeah.
it is like having a roadmap, or what we say in Google, where we have to reach in how much time. So similarly, we are in the same process.
Absolutely. And my second question was with regard to the UCC, Uniform Civil Code.
Yes, Uniform Civil Code is something I would say it is related with the equality in between men and women, and equality in between women of, they may belong to any religion, any class, or any economic strata, or any caste. So there can be laws related with inheritance, laws related with the maintenance, laws related with divorce, and laws related with the property in the parents' whatever she is getting as inheritance.
Yeah.
So now these laws, some of the laws have been changed, like Hindu Succession Act. But what happens to women from other communities? Number one. Number two, when it comes to adoption, also certain communities, they don't give women right for adoption. When it comes to, see, there is a lot of debate going on that particular religion is, they are able to marry 4 times.
Yeah.
But even in Hindu religion, I will like to say, we have to make the second marriage as a cognizable offense.
Yeah.
So if such things are expressed into the common civil code, which are good maybe in other religions together, so it is a relation of gender parity within the religion's framework. And maybe if we are too progressive, if we really want to understand everybody's voice, even we should also think about the third gender at this juncture, what rights they can get even in property. Why a person, if he is a man or a woman, that does not mean that they should not be chucked out of the property. So these are all the issues which should be now are thought at the global level. So we are citizens of India, but what happened in other countries like I would say Switzerland or Sweden, where people from different sectors tried to take out good things together, and then there was a consensus, and then it was reflected into making a law. So it should not be against a law, a religion or B religion. So see, we have waited for reservation 27 years. Since 1986, what I remember, the law for Muslim women protection bill was introduced by Rajiv Gandhi. And actually, instead of protecting Muslim women, it snatched away the right of women when it comes to maintenance.
Yes.
Now the Supreme Court acknowledged and they gave them the right for women.
Yeah.
So what right we have got as citizens to deprive women from every community of their rights because somebody wants UCC or somebody doesn't want UCC? This is the, I feel, what Dr. Ambedkar had said in the Constitution, that this is, I feel that as a, now I would say citizen and voter of the independent India, now this is the responsibility given by the history of India and also by our leaders in Constitution to make common civil code practical into reality.
Great. That means, in a nutshell, for the viewers, can we definitely assume that UCC is not going to be anti-Muslim, that you rightly said, against any particular religion? Can you just tell us about that also?
See, I am not the Minister of Law in India, or neither I am not in the Parliament. But what we wrote to the Legal Commission, Law Commission, and also I wrote to Mr. Amit Ji Shah, and I wrote to Honorable Prime Minister and the Chief Minister, and where we have said that it has to have a main thrust on the gender equality. It should not be thinking about common civil code. It is a gender equality code for all the religions. So if we are able to take this forward, maybe the discussion may take 6 months or 1 year, up to the time things are changing. But however, the political will which has been shown and expressed by NDA, and of course BJP and ShivSena together, we have also supported it. The same political will gives justice to women after some time in future. Similarly, millions of women all over India and men who are for pro women's rights. They are waiting for that particular day to come. And at least as a my individual and also member of Shiv Sena and also I would say Deputy Chairperson of the Legislative Council, I am of the opinion that these things should not be delayed further.
Great. I have just two last questions. One is obviously, Tai, you have been a fourth time basically in the legislature, but there has been a kind of a real kind of a concern being expressed in the society as large about the behavior of the legislators in the house. There has been a lot of debate which is on whether is there any kind of a code of ethics which is required, or whether it is there but not followed. What's really going on, and do you really feel the time is quite opportune to have a kind of what we call as a hassle-free and smooth functioning of the houses in the legislature? What you can suggest on that?
I think there are two lenses through which legislators are being judged. One is through the lens of the media, and other lens is people's eyes, through which they decide who should be again winning the elections and who should not get the opportunity. I think our democracy is quite strong. They definitely teach a lesson to people who are not abiding humanity. I will not say only about the law, but also behaving one person nice to another person. What we saw in COVID. At one point, we saw people being very kind and very nice to each other. On the other, we saw family members who didn't even attend funerals on their own, and they saw to it that the government will take that responsibility. So I feel behaving nicely and decently and dignified way for each other, it doesn't require law. It requires more, I would say, understanding of the human rights of yourself and human rights of others. So keeping this in mind, if our representatives try to understand that they are being watched all the time by the society, maybe not all of them, but some of them are really crossing the limits. They will really try to understand what is wrong with them.
Yeah, and Tai, my obvious question, and that is going to be a last, because without which our conversation cannot be concluded. What really triggered you basically to shift over to Eknath Shinde? Was there any kind of a neglect or a suffocation that led to? Or was there a kind of, as usual, there is a supremacy of a male-dominated world in the Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena, which could not give you an opportunity to function? Can you just throw a light on this? And really, are you getting adjusted with a new environment now?
One thing I will say that when I joined in 98 Shiv Sena, there was also bipolarization. And basically, I was much on the side of NDA that time also, because one, I come from anti-congressism all my since studenthood,
Right.
and Dr. Ram Manohar Lohiya's bigger Congresswad. So keeping that in mind, George Fernandez and Ram Vilas Paswan, everybody was going through different rivers, were going from socialism to NDA.
Yeah.
So either the one option was to be part of that process at the national level and join them and be a part of a smaller party. While as a born and brought up, not born but brought up in Mumbai, definitely I could understand the relevance of being Marathi, relevance of working at the local level, because I was already very active at the international level. But what I thought that if I will be able to share all this knowledge through English to other countries, but what happens to women in the Maharashtra? And I felt that my roots are so strong here, so I must think about local women. And so I decided to join Shiv Sena that time. Now I have got 2 points. One is that Eknath Shinde is leading a Shiv Sena, that Shiv Sena does believe in all the same principles which was initiated by Supremo Balasaheb Thackeray. It is related with giving priority to local people. Also it related with the Mumbai with new vision, 95 to 99, all the developmental factors which was taken by Shivshahi government, these are being taken forward even by Devendra Fadnavis since 2015. And secondly, I would say lack of communication on the leadership side. I won't mind having only, I would say, there can be different type of interactive procedures, which may be different than other parties. But if there is no feedback or no advice or no guidance coming from the leadership, other than accusing each other every day, whole day, that is the only agenda. So 80% of social work and 20% of politics. So it has become to 100% of mudslinging on each other. that was the only agenda which was left for the social workers who are aiming and looking at Balasaheb Thackeray's strategies and his policies. So keeping this in mind, I waited for 1 year. I thought that party which is led by Uddhav Thackeray, they will be able to try to have introspection. Why? What is wrong somewhere? It could have been power, but other than that also many people were leaving the parties who are already ex-MLAs or ex-MPs. So they did see hope in Eknath Shinde. That is number one. Secondly, I felt that instead of waiting all the time, it's better to take a stand. Because not taking a stand, what we are lessons we have learned from Ambedkari movement, sometimes the local our activist becomes totally demoralized and slowly he or she becomes inactive, and some of them who need their sacrifice, there are generations after generations, but there is a political gain, they don't have anything, even work for a service to people, it is not possible. So maybe I felt that it's better to save Shiv Sena with Eknath Shinde.
Yeah, and Tai, in your latest book, you said as if you felt like you should die. Oh no, that was a kind of a point at which you have arrived while remaining with Uddhav Thackeray. What was that which has really, giving you a much of trouble when you were there in that camp?
So basically, lack of communication and the way it was being centralized within party, you get a feeling that you are not at all welcomed and you are not wanted into the decision making process at all. So slowly and slowly you understand that maybe instead of closing the door towards you, first they close their door in their mind initially, then in intellectual, then in Matoshri, then in Shiv Sena Bhavan, and finally from their life. So that was something otherwise quite disheartening to me. And I was feeling that there were people, they were suggesting me that why don't you change the your leadership. And I told them that I will die with the same saffron. But that's so I was waiting to die instead of taking any other ways for politics. But then I thought that if people, women like me, are thinking like that also is not right on my side, because we have to give courage and confidence to people, and for that I have to be torchbearer of this process.
Great. Tai talked about range of issues. She said she is committed for women empowerment, basically gender equality. She will continue her fight basically to curb, violence against women. At the same time, she said the proposed, uniform civil code certainly will not be for against any particular religion, but it is encompassing, propagating a gender equality. At the same time, she has no heartburns of her decision to join hands with Eknath Shinde, and by and large, she has given a very interesting view about how a dignified way of thinking and functioning of the legislature can take place if the legislators will definitely work in that direction. I think, Tai, thanks a lot for sharing your views, and really thankful for sparing time for this interview. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks a lot.